Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. I can't. Oh, this is yeah. What you're seeing is what you get. We were on a bit of a Phantom Knight pile, maybe a little bit of a pile. This whole brainworm of a deck started by me first thinking to myself, what deck can I play where I can use Nightmare Mermaid, Nightmare Goblin, and Red Eyes Dark Dragoon all in the same deck, you know? Gotta, of course, get that in for YouTube, but also I thought it would be fun just to have a good excuse to build a pile deck. I think you all know by now that I love pile decks. I adore them. To me, stuff like this is the epitome of creativity in Yu-Gi-Oh! I kind of don't understand why people don't like decks like this. It's like, why would you want every deck to only be one archetype? Do you enjoy Konami building your decks for you? That's how I feel. But I much prefer being given the freedom to experiment and do stuff like this. And these recent unbannings have proven to be as good an excuse as any to divulge in that part of my brain. So when I was starting to put together the little bit of an Orcus package that we have here, which I'll talk a little bit more of that in a moment, and I was thinking about what decks can easily put out extra bodies and don't really care about getting locked into dark, that can like easily fit into a pile deck, and Phantom Knight was the first thing that I thought of. Phantom Knight is a highly flexible deck when it comes to, you know, being able to pick up combo lines at really just about any given spot in your turn with almost any amount of monsters, as long as most of them are dark and one of them is a Phantom Knight, right? On top of that, it's also an archetype that really likes getting their stuff milled with grass. Grass, I'm actually like a little bit dubious about how good it is with certain engines in this deck, namely like the Goblin Biker engine. Although the Goblin Biker engine, I'll talk about that in a second, but we do of course have a lot of stuff that likes to be milled with grass. The Phantom Knights all operate from the graveyard, they all like being in there, Water Enchantress, even our Orcus package of course does not mind getting milled, it ultimately wants to end up in the graveyard. So the Goblin Biker package is kind of the exception, so I'll full disclosure here. The main reason I put in a little bit of a Goblin Biker package here is because I was thinking about Tour Guide, and I was like, is there not any, like, good target that we have for Tour Guide? And I remembered, oh, Mean Merciless is a Tour Guide target. And of course, we're already on a decent amount of rank 3 stuff, so making the big Gabon gut really isn't that big of an ask. That said, as I mentioned before, it does inherently conflict with the self-mill portion of the deck. The Goblin Biker stuff doesn't really want to be milled that badly. Furthermore, Tour Guide does sort of inherently conflict with the Adventure engine. Not horribly so, and it's kind of the only card that does it, so you could still get away with playing Tour Guide, but I think if I were to rework this deck, which I actually definitely do want to do, I would definitely cut the Goblin Biker engine, I think. It's not bad, but I think you could do better. I think I'd probably cut Tour Guides as well as maybe a couple of other things to make room for a Horus package. Yeah, I definitely wanted to fit Horus in this deck as well, but again, want to try out Goblin Biker stuff. I figured that'd be a little bit more interesting as well, so. I mean, I think a lot of the packages here are pretty self-explanatory, right? We got our Dark Magician and Red Eyes for the Dragoon, because we actually don't normally play Dragon Effect monsters, so it's like, I guess we'll just play the Red Eyes, why not? Yep, we got the Tour Guide package here. Speed Ride obviously is a way to go into rank 3s or Cherubini without using your normal summon. For the Orcus package, okay, let's talk about the Orcus package a little bit. So, for the Orcus, we have Symbol Skeleton, Harp Horror, Orcus Nightmare, and then the field spell, Orchestrated Babel. Because we're not going for like a full Orcus combo, but what we can do is off of any two monsters with different names, we can make a Nightmare Goblin. You could also play Nightmare Phoenix, would also work, but the Nightmare Goblin extra normal effect does come up quite a bit in this deck. So the idea is that you make a Nightmare Goblin with any two monsters with different names. Not hard to have that on board in this deck. Link the Goblin into Mermaid. Mermaid discard to special the Orcus Nightmare. Then you can link the two of those into Galatea. From there, Orcus Nightmare banishes itself to send the Harp Horror. Harp Horror banishes itself to summon Symbol Skeleton. You can then use your Galatea to put back one of your banished Orcus and then set the field spell, right? Then from there, you overlay on top of Galatea your Dingirasu. And then, this is going to sound weird, but after that, you need to link off Ding or get it into the graveyard somehow, because here's what's going to happen. Your field spell is going to be up. It's going to make all of your Orcus monsters have quick effects, right? Your Orcus monster in the graveyard, yeah, they get quick effects, right? So your symbol skeleton can activate as a quick effect during your opponent's turn, bringing the Dingirasu back during that turn, and then letting you activate the special summon effect, sending a card they control to the graveyard. So, yeah, basically the idea is if you have 2 leftover bodies, or if you get disrupted and you just have 2 bodies to work with in general, you can, if nothing else, set up that level of interaction, right? Of course, with 2 effect monsters, you could also make the Predaplant Vert Anaconda, sending the Red Eyes Fusion, and also your Dark Magician and Red Eyes to, of course, make the Dragoon. Of course, keep in mind that you're not going to be able to summon for the rest of the turn after you do that. Well, normal or special summon, excuse me. You can still flip summon all you'd like. But, so yeah, the Orcus little line there is like more of like a mid-combo play. Usually you'll do that and then continue to make plays again because we want to be linking off the Dingirasu. You could even link the Dingirasu with something else to make the Predaplant Vert Anaconda. That is, of course, definitely feasible there. So, let's see, anything else I really have to explain with the list? Oh, we have a tiny punk engine here of 2 Zamine and, not Wandering Griffin, the Foxy Tune. Another good way to make a rank 3, or just, you know, one of our many 2 monsters. Although I guess to be fair, the 2 Zamine can't go into Nightmare Goblin, but they can go into the Vert Anaconda. But it's also a good excuse to play E-Telly, which is more free bodies. And since we're playing E-Telly, that's why I'm also playing Ghost Ogre, which is level 3, again, for making rank 3s. And also, if you E-Telly for Ghost Ogre during your opponent's turn, you can just use the effect. So, multiple uses there. You could also play Psychic Tracker and Wheelier. Those are both obviously also good. I swear, this deck, if you could put 80 cards in a deck and also have 8 monster zones, this deck would be insane. I think is my big takeaway from playing this. This deck is trying to do a lot and is capable of doing a lot, and is often held back by the limitations of the game itself more than anything else. So, you know what, let's go ahead and do a full breakdown for this, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that's pretty weird to see here, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at some of these replays here. So we are on 1 Dark Magician, 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon, 3 Max C, 3 Tour Guide from the Underworld, 1 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 3 Speedroid Terratop, 1 Speedroid Takaton Borg. We got 3 The Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak, 3 The Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, 1 The Phantom Knights of Ragged Gloves. We got 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Orcus Symbol Skeleton, 3 The Phantom Knights of Torn Scales, 2 No Punk Zamine, 3 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 1 Goblin Biker Dug Charger, 1 Goblin Biker Clatter Sploder, 1 Goblin Biker Boommock, 1 Goblin Biker Mean Merciless, 1 Orcus Heartpourer, 1 Nightmare, or Orcus Nightmare rather, 1 Wandering Griffin Rider, 1 No Punk Foxy Tune, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Red Eyes Fusion, 1 That Grass Looks Greener, 3 Rite of Armiseer, 1 Goblin Biker Grand Entrance, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 1 Orchestrated Babble, 1 Fateful Adventure, 2 Emergency Teleport, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Phantom Knight's Wing, 1 The Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine, and then finally 2 Phantom Knights Fogblade. Whew, that's going to be our list. The main deck, anyway, 60 cards. For the extra deck, we're on 1 Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, 1 Leviathan Sea Dragon, 1 The Phantom Knights of Breaksword, 1 Goblin Biker Big Gabonga, 1 Raiders Knight, 1 Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon, 1 Dingirasu the Orcus of the Evening Star, 1 Nightmare Mermaid, 1 Cherubini Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss, 1 Nightmare Goblin, 1 Galatea the Orcus Automaton. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought it was. 1 Predaplant Vert Anaconda, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 The Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardich, and then finally 1 Access Code Talker. There is our list. Let's look at some of these duels. Okay, our first opponent here is going to be on a Makono deck. We're going to start with the going first game. I'd normally like to say this is a typical turn 1 combo line, but you don't really have typical combo lines in a deck like this. Here we are going to start with a tour guide, though. So I'm going to show you a line that doesn't use adventure stuff. I've got a tour guide for the Mean Merciless. Then I'm going to overlay the two of these in order to go for the Goblin Biker Big Gabonga. I don't always start with this, but I know that I can still make Cherub need to dump off Phantom Knight stuff here in a moment, because I'm going to get 2 level 3 bodies on the board, right? Detaching the Mean Merciless. I did misplay here, though. I added Boom Mock. I should have added Clatter Exploder, because I could have detached the other material from Big Gabonga, special Clatter Exploder to bring back Mean Merciless, and then still later in the turn I could have detached from a different Xyz monster in order to summon the Mean Merciless. Basically, I lose out on 1 body in the long term by doing it this way, but that also kind of doesn't matter at all in this deck. You're very frequently, in my experience, going to have to make suboptimal plays for the simple fact that you only have 5 main monster zones. It's like I mentioned in the deck profile portion. If you had 8 main monster zones, this deck would be like twice as good. So here I'm going to go for the Nightmare Goblin. I'm going to use the extra normal effect, pitching the Orcust Harpour to get that in my graveyard, adding the Torn Scale, which you can then extra normal summon. Torn Scale can then pitch the wing in order to mill Ragged Gloves. I can then also have the ability to special summon out the Silent Boost. So, like I said, the deck profile portion too, the Nightmare Goblin effect does actually come up in a build like this. There are a lot of decks where you can just play Nightmare Phoenix, but this is one where the Nightmare Goblin in particular is actually good. So, setting up a Fog Blade to give myself some extra interaction on the opponent's turn, I'm going to bring back the Ancient Cloak and then Torn Scales by its own effect. Torn Scales can buff my Rusty Bardish before I overlay the 2 of these to go into the Leviair. From there, I can activate the Leviair effect. I'm mainly doing this just to make sure my Phantom Knights end up in the graveyard and don't get banished by their own or Phantom Knight Wings effect. So, now from here, I'm going to start pivoting into some Orcust stuff. I have to give up my Maxi to do it, but I think it's worth it to make my end board a little bit better here. Gonna go into the Galatea. Now we can activate the Harpour. Normally I would need to activate Orcust Nightmare, but I already milled the Harpour earlier, so... Or no, I discarded earlier, not milled it. Alright, there's the Field Spell. Now we can... I have to make room for the Dingirasu, so first I want to make the Vert Anaconda, because I don't want to put the Ding under a Link monster zone. Although I don't think that's actually going to end up mattering that. No, it will actually matter here, because... Alright, and here I misplayed. Yeah, as you can see, I linked off the Leviair and the Mean Merciless for the SP, but that was 100% a misplay. I was supposed to link off my Dingirasu, and then that way, you know, as mentioned in the profile, next turn I could bring it back with a Symbol Skeleton. So I missed out on a point of interaction by misplaying there. Also, one thing you gotta realize, because you're gonna see me misplay it a few times with this deck, I was at like 40 seconds left at this point in the turn. That's a very common recurring theme with this deck, is just trying to map out your lines is going to eat most of your timer right off the bat. But I can Silent Boots for another Fog Blade, and then of course make the Dark Dragoon before passing. So if the Dingirasu was properly set up in the graveyard, and let's say I just had like the Leviair out here instead, right? This line would have ended on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of interaction. And this, as it stands, it only ends on 4. Oh no, but yeah, I mean, that's... a lot of the time, you're just going to be kind of like fumbling your way through any play you can possibly make just to get as many interaction pieces on your end board as possible. Alright, opponent's going to start with Gen. I'm 100% going to counter that with one of my Fog Blades. That is definitely a fine use. Abrest coming down next. I'm actually going to use the SP on the Dingirasu and the Gen here. Not using SP on itself, because of course the Abrest is trying to equip to the Dingirasu. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and just banish to both of those, getting the Gen off the board so that way it can't be used as material for anything, and Abrest can't really resolve either. And my opponent does not have any means of playing beyond that. We still, of course, had our Omni Negate in the form of Dragoon, and another Monster Negate in the form of Fog Blade left over. And, of course, had we played correctly, we would have also had the Dingirasu Send as well, which is non-targeted, non-destruction removal, which is very good. So, yeah, that is, again, that's not a typical turn 1 combo line, because this deck doesn't really have that. But this is about what you can expect turn 1s to probably play out like. Oh, good stuff. I love this deck. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next game here. Alright, we do have a going second game here against Hero, no less. So why don't we dive on in and see how this one plays out here. Spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure we just opened a Maxi. Yep, we did. So that'll definitely help us going second. Of course, being a 60-card deck, Maxi is not necessarily guaranteed that we are going to draw into the hand traps that we need. I'm going to chain Maxi to the Ferris here. That way we are guaranteeing the draw and not having to risk play into Gamma. Although to be fair, Gamma, especially in Hero, and especially there being at 1, is not particularly common. Alright, so on the increase summon, I actually top decked the Ash Boss, and I'm going to use it here. Very, very good moment to have top decked it, because the increase is trying to use its effect to special summon out Vion from the deck. And if you are looking for a point, a good choke point for heroes, pretty much any interaction with Vision Hero Vion will do it. If you can stop it from coming out altogether like this, that's ideal. But if you can failure it, impermit, whatever, stopping Vion, in my experience, makes it a lot more difficult for the hero player to continue comboing. Looks like our opponent does have plays here, choosing to continue to play into the Maxi here, going for the Infernal Devicer, activating to reveal the Shining Neos Wingman, and then adding a copy of Neos, before sending a card and then passing over to us. I don't know how much I agree with that Link Summon. I understand wanting to do some deck thinning, but giving me a draw in the process is a little bit dubious in my opinion. Alright, so we'll start with the Adventure line, and I can even special the Water Enchantress from my hand, because I already opened Rite of Armistier. And of course, she will definitely be another level 3 Xyz/Link material for some plays here in a moment. Definitely want to start by establishing the Wandering Griffin Rider, although I am a little scared of Super Poly too, so I'm going to go ahead and just bounce the face down card before I commit to any more plays. Gonna normal summon the Silent Boots and link it off with the Water Enchantress for the Cherubni. Cherubni would normally dump Water Enchantress, but we already have her set up, of course, so we're going to dump a Torn Scales instead. I can then banish Fogblade, bring back Silent Boots, Torn Scales effect will activate, and then I can use Torn Scales, pitching the Doug Charger for the mill of the Phantom Knight there, the Ragged Gloves. I should have pitched the Orchestrated Babble, though, but it's not really going to matter, because from here, I'm just going to go into Access Code. Now, this was a little bit risky. I could have definitely continued a combo before making Access Code, and potentially had some more bodies on the board in addition to Access Code. But of course, one thing you have to remember is that Rusty Bardish can't be used as a Link material, like ever, period. So you can never go into Access Code with Rusty Bardish. But here, I saw an opportunity for lethal, and I decided to go ahead and try taking it. So yeah, definitely want to get in. Oh, also, wanting to get in with a Wandering Griffin Rider first. That actually matters a lot, because if my opponent has if they just have a counter, to any of my plays in general during the battle phase, I want to use my Omni Negate on it. So, wanting to get in with the, Griffin Rider in case they, I don't know, drops Gores or something. But, none of that happens really in 2024 Yu-Gi-Oh! But there we go. So one thing you'll notice in particular is that the going second OTK line was a lot shorter than the going first combo line. And that's definitely by design. I wanted to get to the OTK as quickly as possible here. And that's a lot of why Access Code is even in the deck. I debated Access Code in Appaloosa, but really, I'm like, we set up enough interaction, right, that I don't think we need an Appaloosa. And I think what we really more need is a way to close out games, and Access Code is a very good way to do that. So we've got one more duel we're going to show off here. Let's finish off with that one. And for this last duel, we are playing against Infernoid. I almost forgot the deck's name I almost called it Void. That's what the spell and trap cards are called. No, this is Infernoid. Alright, going first here. And we do have the tour guide, but we also have enough other things in hand that I don't think I'm going to be using the tour guide here, because I'd rather have my adventure set up. So we're going to special Terratop, go for Tokaton Borg, and then go for the Cherubni. Cherubni can then mill off the Water Enchantress, which I will then activate. Of course, going for the Rite of Armistier. Yeah, again, I don't think that tour guide and the adventure engine conflicting is inherently awful. but it does kind of give me pause of if tour guide should be in here or not. Yeah, like I said, definitely thinking about that Horus engine as well. We'll need to rework the extra if I did that, though, to include at least Zombie Vamp, if not another rank 8. Well, we have Ding! We already play a rank 8. Ooh. Ooh. Alright, my gears are turning now. Anyway. Setting up a Rusty Bardish here. Gonna set the Shade Brigandine this time to help us continue comboing. Gonna link off the Shade Brigandine with the Silent Boots in order to make our Nightmare Goblin. It's too bad the Adventure Engine stops us from being able to use Tour Guide. Could you imagine Nightmare Goblin effect to extra normal Tour Guide here? That would be ridiculous. It would be unnecessary, though. Like, we're already going to be out of space in order to make all the plays we want to here. Again, I can't emphasize that point enough about this deck. Like, if lines ever look suboptimal, it's because they are, because we just don't have enough room. Pivoting into the Goblin Biker package now, going to go Big Gabonga into Doug Charger. I will say at a certain point, like, I was just kind of clicking yellow buttons. As much as I like to make fun of other, like, players for, you know, doing that, I guess, like... it is something that I also do a lot, so... Yeah, setting up the Mean Merciless in the yard. Well, not a lot, but I do it a lot when playing decks like this, I guess I should say. So, there's SP, and then we're going to Vert Anaconda as our last little action here, and set up our Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This board doesn't have quite as many pieces of interaction on it. It's only actually 3. Because I didn't set up a Fog Blade, because I did Shade Brigandine instead. I probably should have set Fog Blade. I don't think I needed that Shade Brigandine. I actually definitely did not need that Shade Brigandine, especially if I was going to go into a Goblin Biker line. So, I could have 4 pieces of interaction here, but we have Maxi, so I wasn't super worried. And also, 2 of our 3 pieces of interaction are Omni Negates, which is pretty darn good. Yeah, so they're going to Chimera Fusion here to actually make their Infernoid evil. Evil! This is where Fogblade would have been great. I could have negated this without destroying it. As it stands, I'm going to have to use the Griffin Rider, which will let them add a Void Spell or Trap card off of the Evil's second effect. So, not ideal. Actually, does Dragoon destroy? It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does destroy it, okay. I was like, maybe that would have worked as far as, like, negating but not destroying it, but nah. Definitely want to Dragoon the Void Imagination here, as I do not want them to start milling a bunch of cards. They're going to get to do that anyway, though, as I did not SP the Infernoid here, and they're going to Monster Gate. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but if I had realized it in the moment, I might have actually used the SP effect. But thankfully, they didn't actually mill too much before finding Decatron. And I'm going to SP Little Knight herself and Decatron. That way Decatron doesn't get to just have the copied effect, right? Like, they're going to mill the Infernoid. Which one is that? Onuchu. Banishing 3 Infernoid monsters whose total levels... Well, the total levels of all of ranks is 8 or lower. Okay, I see. Yeah. I don't know why that tripped me up for a second, but I also don't know why they didn't really summon Onuchu here. I feel like they could have just blown up my whole field, well, except for Dragoon, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand that myself. Because, yeah, they go for Void Breach, and they just concede here. I feel like this person still had plays. That's kind of what I was trying to figure out at the end there, was like... I don't know. I guess why they conceded here? Maybe they just couldn't out the Dragoon. And that is a thing about Dragoon that you have to consider, right? Is that, like, sometimes you can just kind of put that out there and just kind of say to your opponent, all right, deal with this or lose, and you might be surprised how often people just can't deal with it. So maybe that was the case. I have to imagine our opponent had a way out of this. I struggle to see that not being the case, but I'm also not an Infernoid player, so maybe, I just don't know, but... that'll go ahead and do it for this video. Thank you so very much for watching. I had a blast making this pile deck. Would love to make more like it in the future. Of course, you know I'm going to. But let's just go ahead now and move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.